Colourpop came out with what I would say is one of my favorite releases that they've done recently. They came out with Super Shock Shadow Trios. When I saw these, I was instantly drawn to them because they look to me like they're going to be the perfect neutrals with a twist. I think these are particularly good if you are looking for affordable special eyeshadows. So we are going to swatch these and try on every shade and see exactly what we think of them. First, we have the Milk Tea and Boba set, which is cool toned. Then we have the Coconut Cream and Soda set. This to me is the most neutral of the three. And last but not least, we have the Matcha and Mochi set, which is the most warm toned of the three. Each of these sets retails for $18, and I do believe that they're all new shades that are limited edition. Starting off with the Milk Tea and Boba set, we have the shade Extra Sweet, which is a very striking silver shade. This really is like a straight up sterling silver, and it has subtle pink and blue sparkles throughout. Something I like about a lot of the shades in these kits is that they do have these really beautiful multicolored sparkles. It gives them a little bit of extra dimension, even if they don't have a chrome shift. Next, we have the shade I think is going to be a lot of people's favorite in this trio. It's the shade Bobaholic, which is one of the beloved blue-brown duochromes. It has a red-brown base with a soft blue-silver shift. Now, I think people will be wondering how this shade compares to Rooftop Cocktails, but Rooftop Cocktails is slightly warm-toned. It has more of a green-gold shift than a silver-blue shift. Last but not least, we have the shade Hey Cutie. This has a muted red plum base with silver, blue, and pink sparkles throughout. Here is what all three shades look like swatched on the back of my hand. I think in this shot in particular, you can see some of the really pretty multicolored sparkles that are in each shade. Now let's go ahead and get into trying on each of these shades. All right, let's dive right into trying on these shades, starting off with Extra Sweet, which is that silver tone shade that has blue sparkles. Here is what it looks like swatched on my fingertip. As you know, the texture of the Super Shock shadows is such that it feels almost like a cream to powder finish, but it completely dries down on the eyes, and they have a good lasting power. I've heard, you know, a lot of people, even people I know with hooded lids, that these work very well for. And I don't know if Colourpop has done a silver like this before, but I think this is a really beautiful, cool toned sterling silver shade. And seeing the shade on the lid, you can really pick up on these multicolor sparkles even better than you can in the swatch. Such a beautiful silver tone shade. Next, we are going to try on Bobaholic. Here's what it looks like in the pan. It has that beautiful blue shift, and here is what it is looking like on my fingertip. I do think that this shade is going to be a favorite. I just think the blue-brown kind of shift is so flattering, and I'm really glad it's having a moment both in glosses and in eyeshadows. I myself can't get enough of it. That is a beautiful shade, and definitely not a dupe for Rooftop Cocktails, in case you're wondering. Just get a little bit closer so you can see that. All right, and third shade in this trio is Hey Cutie. It's this muted plum, and it has silver sparkles. This is the shade that is the deepest of the three. And yeah, now that I've had a chance to try on all of these shades, I can say that yes, this is the cool toned neutral set. So if you're into cool tone neutrals, this would be your set if you're trying to pick between the three. Here is what the shade Hey Cutie looks like fully applied. Next we have the Coconut Cream and Soda kit. Now, this seemed like the most neutral of the three, with the first kit being more cool toned and the third kit being more warm toned. First, we have the shade Extra Ice, which is an iridescent pink, and it also has blue sparkles. Very cool and interesting shade. I am keen to use this one as an inner corner and brow bone highlight, but of course you could use it as a lid shade and maybe even as a punchy face highlight. Next, we have the shade Sweet Sip, which is a pale champagne, and I would describe it as having primary silver and blue sparkles with secondary more subtle pink sparkles. It's a very soft and pretty shade, and I think it's a smart move to include some champagnes in these kits. They tend to be a neutral tone that a lot of people go for, as of course has been evidenced by one of Colourpop's most popular shades, Ritz, which is a dupe for Space Cowboy. Last but not least, we have the shade Raspberry Fizz, which is also a champagne. I would say that it is just a touch deeper and a touch warmer. And this has pink and silver multicolored sparkles. Here is what all three shades look like swatched on the back of my hand. And they're in the order that I swatched them. So Extra Ice is on the left and Raspberry Fizz is on the right. All right, let's move on to doing eye swatches of the Coconut Cream and Soda kit. And we're gonna start off with that iridescent shade Extra Ice that has pink sparkles. Here is what it looks like swatched on my fingertip. I am having such a good time with trying on these shades. I was pleasantly surprised with how much I am enjoying these trios. I think the quality is nice. The shades are fun and approachable. Here is what it looks like fully applied. Just come in a little bit closer so you can really appreciate those multicolored sparkles. I think this shade would also be, like I mentioned, really pretty as an inner corner shade and a brow bone shade. And if you really wanted to go for a sparkly icy highlight, I think you could use it like that as well. Next, we're gonna go in with Sweet Sip. I'm very curious to see how these two champagne shades are going to translate on the eyes. If they're gonna look like they're too similar, or if you'll be able to kind of pick up on the differences. So Sweet Sip is the one that has more of the blue sparkles. I have a feeling that when you see it on the lid, you will be able to see some of these differences a little bit better, because I feel like I'm getting a better sense for these shades when I try them on. Here is what it looks like fully applied. A little bit closer, and then just with bright light as well so that you can really pick up on that multicolored sparkle. Okay, and last but not least, we have the shade Raspberry Fizz. And this also is a champagne, but this one has more of kind of a pink sparkle than a blue sparkle, and it has a little bit more depth as well. Yeah, to me, when I see this one applied, I definitely see more of a difference than I think I did even in the swatch. Here's what it looks like fully applied. And then I'm gonna get a little bit closer in with bright light so you can see the multicolored sparkle. Last but not least, we have the Matcha and Mochi kit. This to me is the most warm toned of the three. Starting off with this fiery toned iridescent shade, we have the shade Think So Mochi. This has a really pretty fiery toned duochrome shift with orange and soft gold sparkles throughout. This iridescent doesn't seem to have a white base, so I think it's going to make it more approachable to a wider range of skin tones. Next, we have the shade Whisk It All, which is a soft gold iridescent. And this one also seems like it doesn't have a white base. Last but not least, we have the shade Double Matcha, and I would describe this as a warm kind of bronzy gold. This shade has a hint of grunginess to it. Here's what all three shades look like swatched in the back of my hand. Let's go ahead and get into trying on each of these. Now we're gonna go into the Matcha and Mochi set. I feel like this set is the most different from the other two because it's significantly warmer toned, and I just feel like the vibes of it are the most different. So I'm actually really excited to dip into this one. Starting off with Thanks So Mochi. Here is what that shade looks like on my fingertip. I also feel like, you know, we get some chrome shifts with these and some interesting iridescence, which is a lot of fun. Like these shades could definitely be used in a multitude of ways, as iridescents can, layering them over mattes, over other shimmers, brow bone, inner corner, lid shades. So yeah, this is what the shade Think So Mochi looks like fully applied. And of course, a little bit closer for the sparkle action. Okay, next we have the shade Whisk It All, which I think will be a lot of people's favorite in this kit. It's a pale gold champagne with a sort of greenish sparkle and reflect. Oh, that's a pretty shade. Here is what it looks like fully applied. And sparkle action. Last but not least, we have the shade Double Matcha. Here is what it looks like swatched on my fingertip. It's kind of a gold bronze duochrome shade. And I like that, you know, even the shades in this kit, even though they are warmer toned, I feel like they are quite approachable. They're not, you know, overly warm toned. So even if, you know, you are someone who doesn't go for things that are super warm toned, I find that these will probably be approachable to you. Here's what it looks like fully applied, and a sparkle moment. All right, now that I've had a chance to go through everything, let's close up with some wrap-up thoughts. I think you probably already know, you know, I really enjoyed this whole collection. I think that this is by far one of the more manageable collections from Colourpop. I know Colourpop comes out with a lot and they do have big collections, but something about this collection really spoke to me. First of all, I love that it's a capsule collection. Love that you can have 3 little sets. I think the timing is really nice. If you are looking for stocking stuffers, I think this is a great idea. And if you really like the Super Shock Shadow formula, I think that there's some beautiful shades in this collection. I do wish that it was permanent because I feel like, you know, kind of amped up neutrals are something that you can use and appreciate any time of the year. And so, you know, I think it's a shame that there's probably some shades in here that people will grow attached to and then, you know, maybe not be able to get a replacement for. Who knows, maybe it's something that will come back again or become part of the permanent lineup if there's enough demand. In terms of my favorite set, actually was pretty hard to pick. I thought for sure, slam dunk, it was going to be milk tea and boba, and I think that is still my favorite set. But I actually really liked the warm toned set as well, the last one, the matcha one. So I think you can't go wrong. If you like cool tones, go with the milk tea and boba. If you like warmer tones, go with the matcha. The coconut cream and soda one was nice. It's just not the one that really kind of stuck out to me. So, are these an affordable luxury? I would say yes, in terms of the performance and the formulas. You don't get, you know, particularly kind of special luxe packaging. I like the packaging. I especially like the fact that you can see the shade of the shadow through the front here, because it's very frustrating to me when the packaging of, you know, a product looks entirely the same from shade to shade, and the only way that you would know is the name on the back. So I would say yes. So in that way, I'm really excited that I reviewed these because I'm always trying to find products that are not only affordable, but high quality and feel luxury in the experience. I would love to hear what you think of this release, if you felt as excited about it as I did, or if I introduced you to it and are now excited about it. Also, I would love to hear which of these 3 sets is your favorite. As always, I really hope you found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.